I'm really glad to see such a diverse audience in our, among our participants, people coming from various fields, also various countries. Sweden, I see Norway, United States, and so on. So we started those events with GLL, doing those meet and greet sessions with Lithuanian companies, so that diaspora professionals could learn more about companies that are working in Lithuania, from Lithuania, maybe globally, just like this particular startup OXYLABS. So that to meet people that are working there, to get personal connections. And I'm glad that this form of events started to be appealing not only to diaspora people, but also for those who are living here in Lithuania. So without further ado, I will introduce a company that we are meeting today. It's a Lithuanian alternative data startup, OXYLABS, who started only 5 years ago, and with a team of 5 people, and currently they are employing 280, working with many big global companies. Some of them are in even Fortune 500, among Fortune 500 companies. OXYLABS enables companies worldwide to gather public online data and is at the forefront of innovation in this field. We know that data scraping and proxies, they are not very they're quite usual technology, but I'm very much eager to hear about how OXYLAB is innovating this market, and how they're using artificial intelligence for their products. So at the beginning, we will have a presentation of Juras Juršėnas. Hi, Juras. Can you say hi?
Unmuting. Hi, everyone.
Hi. So he himself started as a product owner, and after a year became as an OXYLABS CEO, Chief Operating Officer. Juras mainly works with tech teams, fostering innovation and creating new products. So anything about innovation products, you can ask him. When he started at this company, there were only 70 employees, and now it's 280. And Juras will share his insight on how to foster innovation and keep startup vibe, even when the company oversteps 250 employees bar. But before I ask Juras to start with his presentation, I will just briefly say that we will now have Juras' presentation for 25 minutes, half an hour. After, you can actually write down your questions in the chat room, or because we will have a Q&A session with Juras afterwards, or you will be able to ask questions by raising your hand, the hand which is like this small sign of hand. Please keep your microphones switched off during the presentation, so that we can all hear and participate, but you will be able to switch them on and start talking during the breakout room sessions. We will have 5 of them, and according to different topics, so you will be able to go to different breakout rooms and meet people of OXYLABS and talk about different topics there. But I will introduce those breakout rooms later on. So without further ado, I will ask Juras to proceed and tell us a little bit more about what OXYLABS does. How do you stand out of all data scraping companies, and what actually is the key for your success?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me try and share my screen. This is the usual step when something bad is happening. So please nod if you see it, or because you're all muted. Okay.
Yeah, this is good. We see it.
Good, great. Okay, so thank you for having me. Really exciting to see so many people joining in. And probably a good place to start is to talk about what is alternative data, what industry we are in. Okay. Yeah, it's working. Okay, so while preparing for presentation, I was looking at the definitions for alternative data to keep it concise. And the most popular one I found is that it's data from non-traditional sources, which is, though true, completely not useful because it doesn't really explain what it is. But it's a good place to start. So first, let's discuss what is traditional data sources. So companies are better and better in terms of using their own internal data. So CRMs, financial data from accounting, and etc. It's usually well structured. So in inverse, the alternative data is usually external and not so well structured. The term originated in investment management. So the companies there would use obviously the financial statements, the macroeconomic indicators, and all these things to make decisions regarding investment. And we're always searching for new data sources to gain an edge. And it became, with time, more exotic and novel. So use of satellites for crops, weather patterns, traffic data, and publicly available web data. So for instance, if a company starts listing many job ads, most likely they are ramping up for expansion. Or if you run an sentiment analysis on many articles, you can see what's the sentiment about the company, whether it has some hurdles. So this is a subset of alternative data that we are focused on and where we see the most potential. And why are companies turning to internal data or to alternative data? So first, as they are more and better accustomed to internal data, we start to understand that it can only go so far. So internal data is inward looking and can tell you a lot about your customers, but it doesn't tell you about the market. Secondly, with cloud computing, AI, machine learning, and all these other nice buzzwords, the true capabilities to analyze the data appeared. Prior, it was a luxury to few companies, maybe. And lastly, the pressure from competitors starts to arise. So whenever someone starts to use it, it forces others to adopt it too. And here I can tell an example from, which is a very common use case in our industry. So imagine you are a retailer. You run an online store, and let's say you sell toys. And you have inventory of the selection of 10 products, and you have 3 competitors, and you operate in one market. And you start to see a dip in sales, and you go in and you check your competitors, and you see that someone's running a promotion. So hence the decrease in sales. And while it's 10 products and 3 competitors, you can react to that. But once you expand and you have hundreds of thousands of products, multiple markets, and different regions, it becomes impossible. You need to automate it and make a solution for it. So how do we fit in this whole picture? There is this very popular phrase that's now being used to death and becoming really corny. So data is the new oil. And it's usually meant to say that data is really impactful, that it allows good decisions and is driving the economy forward. But as far as for us, the analogy is somewhat different. So oil by itself is not useful. It's its products that are useful. And for it to become these products, it needs to undergo a process. It needs to be extracted, refined, and processed. And in these 2 first steps, this is where we come in. So one is regarding the extraction. So we have an infrastructure to extract the data from around the world. And another is refinement. So usually the data is loaded with various things, and you only need few data points from it. And it takes a lot of time and effort to extract it. And the last bit, which is process, it's usually very industry specific, use case specific, even company specific. So here we think that it's best kept and done by the customers who utilize it. And our job is to make it as easy as possible for them to work just on that, not to worry about extraction and refinement. So I'll now go a bit more in depth into infrastructure and data services, what we actually do there. So I guess most of you are familiar with the term IP address. So in most cases, when you use internet, you have one, and it does show some information. So It contains a location, your internet provider, and you most likely noticed that content difference in different locations. So the prices might differ. The content itself might be not available. In some sites, even if you visit them in consecutively a couple of times, the content might differ. So it's really important to have a very wide selection of IPs when gathering data, and we expose them through these IP proxies, and they need to be geographically dispersed. So here are some numbers for some of our key regions and how many IPs we have there. Over time, it has gone to really large numbers. I believe on average month now, we see around 100 million IPs, unique IPs in our infrastructure. So it can truly support really large exercises of collecting data. And some of these are based in data centers, and some of these are actually end user devices. We work with various partners to actually incentivize people and pay them for traffic being routed from them, so that the traffic would appear as natural as possible in collecting. Another step is data refinement. So here we already extract we transform the extracted information, we distill it. So web pages are made for people, not for machines. So you see a lot of creative elements there, different layouts, colors, and very different all around. But usually for analysis, you need the data points, as in this example, so price, currency, things like that. So we started off first by building some tools to extract it from sort of most popular sites, but now we are already working on machine learning and other solutions that adapt. So here, for example, is our adaptive parser that uses machine learning to extract information from product page from pretty much any layout. And this is very useful for developers because these layouts keep changing, and you can pretty much throw any site at it and get results of quite good results. And so these are our services, and so who uses us and what for what purpose? So let me go through a couple of the client examples. So one, for instance, is Trivago, which is a great accommodation comparison site. So we compare prices of hotels and other accommodation services all around the world. So we power that, and it makes sense because a lot of locations. Another one is Search Metrics, and we actually are powering a lot of marketing tools. So this one in particular provides SEO services, so ranking tracking and other analysis. So again, our services are really important to them. And overall, as already mentioned, we have many 500 companies working with us. These are the usual cases that we use us for. So market research, sort of similar way as investment, already mentioned. Brand protection. In many cases, we are used to find counterfeit goods or copyright infringement or piracy. Mentioned travel fare aggregation, ad verification, making sure that the ads that are being paid for are running in the sites they are supposed to. Sales intelligence. So when a company is organizing their own sales process and has, let's say, company leads, they might use our services to enrich those leads. So for example, if there are some pages that list what products a company uses. So you might want to search for your competitor keywords and pitch to them. So that helps optimize sales. SEO, e-commerce, and cybersecurity. And there are many more, but there is one that is more sort of closer to heart. We participated in this competition in Lithuania last year. So it's what was called GovTech Challenge, where startups pitched solutions to various problems. And the one we were interested in was the identification of illegal online content. So in particular, that is pornography, and especially child pornography. And we're very happy that we use sort of our skills that we use for business for something that is sort of bringing general good. And we're working with RRT, Ryšių reguliavimo tarnyba, which is the agency in charge of communication oversight on it. Oh, wait, yeah. So what we do there is, we crawl the Lithuanian websites. We identify the images that are already known to be containing bad things. And we use machine learning to classify the cases of, let's say, child pornography or pornography of such, and also alert RT. So this is in the works. I think it's in the last stages, and soon it will be launched. So we hope for good results there. Yeah. And how did we get here? So as mentioned earlier, the company itself was founded in 2015. It first was just 5 people working on various projects, and they received a client, or more an inquiry for data center proxies. And while doing the sort of custom solution, they saw that, oh, there is a whole market there, and we should completely stick to it and build. So over next year, they commercialized the product, so it wouldn't be a custom solution anymore, but something you can scale. A team was formed, the first office, and in next couple of years, we started to expand and add more products to the portfolio. The company rebranded to OXYLABS. It was a couple different other brands before, and around 2019, I joined. The growth was already kicking in. It was around 70 people at that time, and through the last years, we managed to truly improve the service. I think we are now have the best in the market there is, and we started to do a lot of machine learning initiatives, sort of general data extraction problems, and offer products like this. So where are we now? Now we are at 280 people strong, very happy, wonderful colleagues. And we have around 600 clients. Up than that, do have in mind that we work a lot with enterprise clients. So these are big tickets, hardly one, and but once you get them, you get them. And now we are more expanding into mid-market as well. We have built a tremendous infrastructure and great services, and already have 4 offices. Why we are where we are, why we're successful. So first, let's not kid ourselves, we were lucky as well. So we were at good time, at good place, and the market grew itself a lot, but we did our best there. So one thing that is very sort of true about us is that we are very biased towards action, or we say impact driven. Basically, if we have an idea, we push it in iterations and push it as fast as we can, and we try to build a simple version of the product, get it in front of a customer for him to validate whether it's working, and then iterate and scale it. Another thing that brought us here is that we focused on clients a lot. So all the initial product developments were just direct feedback from clients. So for us, we not necessarily sell products, we try to solve solutions. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense. So we have truly amazing account management team and other people working with sales, and they should try to get a really in-depth understanding and work with the client to make things work for their case. And the last one is that we were always very humble. We understood that there are better ways to do things, and it's not rank in the company, it's not the emotions, it's the ideas and the data on what to do next. So when these combine, we get good results. So out of these 4, I'd say the first one is more external, and the 3 latter ones, they're more about people and culture. And Mindaugas, who is probably the oldest employee in the company, there from the very, very beginning, put it quite well, that the growth was very much about people. We just focused on getting the best people, and they solved the things themselves. And now I'll expand a bit more about culture. We already started about criteria why we got here, but let me dwell a bit more on that. So this bias towards action, again, as I said, general patterns said that a good plan executed today is better than a perfect plan executed in a week's time. So for us, it's very much true. As we grow and there are more and more people, we find that it only works if people have very clear areas, and in these areas we have very high autonomy in how to make decisions. So it is, again, sort of speaking in military terms, instead of preparing detailed plans, we just say objectives. So go in there, capture that bridge, hold this hill. And this clearly defined problems, when coupled with ownership, do bring results. We try to build the organization around speed, so sort of support that bias towards action. When we build teams, we try them to have all the specialists necessary, so we wouldn't go to other teams asking for them. This allows them to run things quickly and iterate and have this authority and ownership. Experimentation, so always trying new things, and yeah, already mentioned openness. Basically, it doesn't matter the position of the company. If you have the data to support it, we should go this way. And the sort of experimentation and openness, I can tell a sort of good example of an initiative we had last year. It is our AI machine learning board. So last year, we are doing our first sort of baby steps in machine learning. And we obviously had some understanding of what we're doing, but we knew that it's not enough. We won't do it in the speed we want. So what we thought is that we need to get this expertise, and we need to get it from the best places we can. So we gathered a board of experts. So these are truly amazing people, so from various academic backgrounds and various company experience. So these companies we worked at are really at the forefront of innovation there. So Google, Microsoft, Lyft, even NASA. Yeah, so truly amazing guys, and we iterate with them. So we build things and then allow them to criticize us for a couple hours, and it works like a charm. So again, sort of connecting openness and thinking outside the box. Even if you don't have the capability now, maybe someone can tell you how to do things. So what's next for us? So we think that we are well positioned in this market, that we will continue to grow. We think that we will continue building these data services products, that it would be even easier for companies to get this data and just focus on using it where they get the most value. And this will lead to better decisions by them, new products, and so the benefit for everyone. And as already mentioned, the key to our success was not only the good market situation, but also the people. So I would like to spend some time speaking about what is working in OXYLABS, and yeah, maybe someone will find it to their taste. So first, yeah, sort of my day. Oh, sorry, a bit awkward to see my own image staring back at me. So my day is usually packed of meetings, and I would say during normal times, not quarantine, it's a bit less structured because it's easier to arrange about different topics there. But the usual topics in my schedule are either some sync meetings, either job interviews, calls with the clients, or some plannings. So that's where I spend most of time. And if it isn't for quarantine, then of course quite a bit of traveling, seeing clients, because when you see them face to face, it's much better, easier to build them a good product. And even though it's quarantine, we still try to keep up with team building, so we do them online. So very excited about those. What sort of people usually fit well, and sort of general OXYLAB profile would be that they're curious, because we do try new things a lot, and that's not only speaking about tech, that's pretty much about any area we work in. So sales, recruitment, HR, marketing, you name it. They should be very much result oriented. That is a part of our DNA. So when doing things, one should think about result, and it should iterate. Playful, it's quite fun here in the office, and as I already mentioned, humble. Yeah. Wait, maybe. Oh yeah. Skip the slide. Now the work principles here are pretty much a reflection of the culture points I said earlier. So once again, there is no judgment of failures. It's would be more of judgment if a person doesn't try or doesn't act. When in doubt, one should act and try to get information from the situation. It's data over emotions. always iterative, and acting beyond yourself. So it's a truly great team, and it should, even though achieving one's own goals is good, achieving them together is better. Now, in terms of perks, we try to make things comfortable for everyone, and so that everyone could focus on the hard tasks in work itself. So any sort of things in terms of learning are there. So both various internal lectures, library where you can order any book, various online courses, and conferences, and ability to participate in corporate social responsibility projects. In terms of comfort, yes, so kitchen full of food, which is sometimes a bad thing due to overweight, when run these fat challenges where people drop weight, and health insurance, and yeah, all the gear. And we do spend a lot of time off work also socializing, because it's really nice people here. So various team buildings of various sorts, and it's not for quarantine. We usually go for a weekend for vacation somewhere just to work and relax a bit at the same time, and all the other perks. So if it is something that you would be interested in, and you like the field overall, here are some of the positions that we offer. Check out our career page. Would be very interested to hear from you. Like, share, subscribe, and thank you very much. I hope it was interesting, and if you have any questions, we can go ahead to Q&A.
Thank you, Juras. It was you were going, like, sliding through so many different topics that you can, like, you would want, like, I don't even know where to start. It's like from product to sales to offices expansion, and it really feels like, you know, like we need to we actually need those breakout rooms to go deeper into topics. So as said before, we will start with the Q&A session, and I can see already some hands raised for questions, but I will use my privileges as a moderator to ask a first question. And I was reading in some article that that the data gathering activities had increased in a recent year, in a pandemic year, a lot, and especially in the fields of cybersecurity and also e-commerce, right? So and I could only imagine that from the data that you gather working with clients in cybersecurity, you can also see what is actually what trends are actually arising in the market. So could you comment a little bit about this growth and what do you see in this recent year?
Sure. So we saw a couple of things. So one, a bit more negative, but very easily sort of not surprising. So travel was going down somewhat, which makes sense because of the lockdowns. But the inverse was true for e-commerce. So it's clear that basically people were doing purchases from home, and a lot of partners we work with saw that they were doing more sales, but also they started to invest in online more, and therefore the intelligence sort of monitoring your customer, your competitors becomes really important. So I think this only accelerated that would have happened anyhow, but so it is there to stay. Travel, I think, will rebound. In terms of cybersecurity, I wouldn't say that it's going up for data gathering in particular. So sort of cybersecurity in general is going up as a hot topic as more and more activities are online. Yes.
Okay. I have Vytenis Benetas raising a hand. Can you unmute yourself, Vytenis, and
sure.
go on with the
So,
question?
Juras, thanks a lot for your speedy presentation. Towards the end, I sort of felt there's a, you know, you guys are doing a pitch, you know, to hire people. That's fine. I'm not in the market to sell myself, but I'm very curious about your, just a little bit better to understand what your company does. And if you could just reflect on the way I will summarize it. What I see, you have two products or like two services. One is the proxy services. So basically you're providing ability to pretend like you are anywhere, you know, and to help basically to avoid maybe being, you know, seen the way you don't want to be seen, or to be seen the way you're supposed to be seen. And second service, you're providing crawling service, basically all that scraping abilities and crawling and sort of gathering, collecting data automatically according to some patterns and algorithms. Is that true? So these are the two core services which you're providing.
I would say pretty much yes. So we provide infrastructure, proxies, right? So again, sort of if you want to change the location, or yes, if you want to stay anonymous while collecting information. And another one is for more scraping tools.
Okay, so then following on this premise, then I just wanted to understand whether do you help clients also to work with sources? Because infrastructure is not sufficient, you know, you need to know your sources, like where do you collect? So that would be one question. Second question would be, do you help with analysis? Because once you collect data, what do you do with that? Do you leave it up to the clients? Do you connect them to some other third parties? Or do you have a plan, something, you know, down the line to develop something on your own?
So the answer to this is this. We usually work with clients that do the analysis themselves, and they do know which information we need to get. So we don't consult as much. I mean, we do sort of try to understand what is their case they're trying to achieve, and if it needs to do some modifications on our end. But yes, we leave it to the client.
So it means that the client knows basically they're already coming with a problem, and you're just providing infrastructure for them to solve it.
Infrastructure and services, yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted clarification on that.
I think that we will be able to go deeper a little bit in our break rooms, right? In the product development or even the commercial product development part. I think what Tanis is asking about. So we have another question from Tian, who's asking what factors does make OXYLAB stand out from its competitors in the market?
Okay, so I think there are a couple of things here. So one is that we do have an amazing infrastructure built through the years, and I think it's depends on the area, but in most I'd say it's the best there is in terms of variety, in terms of availability, and we support a large scale. Not all of the other providers can cope with that, and also we have a great team of very client-centric account managers and sales who help for all this process and give a sort of personalized experience.
Okay, so now that you are talking about the account managers, so where do you read them? I mean, this is another question that comes from. Let me check. Neda, who's asking about diversity of gender and age, but I will also ask about the diversity in terms of nationalities. Like, is it monogamic? I mean, is it Lithuanian basically, or do you have other nationalities?
So it started out as mostly Lithuanian, but now bit by bit we are becoming more and more international. So I'd still say the majority is Lithuanian, but I think with time it will be more and more diverse. And in terms of here it was called regarding gender split and age, I think HR would better answer it because I just don't fully know at this pace how it's shaping up. But I don't know, maybe someone from HR could help me out here, maybe write in chat.
Yeah, so according to our statistics, we have now 31% of female. So I think it reflects IT field itself, but we are doing the best to employ more and more women in the field. And according to the age, actually, I don't have for now statistics. So Neda, I can get back to you with an answer later on.
Thank you. another participant is asking, what challenges do you have in general or in particular regarding innovation as per STEM?
Sure. So as in, I would say in any sort of problem like this, you have sort of a use case and you want to do something differently there. It can become sort of even hard in terms of determining what you are solving. So what we try to do is to focus on either some metric or some scenario what we're trying to solve, and then just throw different ideas and split it into smaller iterations. So an example would be, let's say, our machine learning exercises. We might have gone from the beginning trying to build something very, very large and complex and sort of closed the doors and just left the development for a year. But what instead we did was we tried to narrow it down to smaller scenarios, make some solutions there and release them and give them to our clients to test. So we'd start getting feedback and then start connecting these dots. So I would recommend that approach to anyone. So I think it's a similar case with Tesla and Google car. So, I mean, they're trying to solve the overall problem while Tesla is trying to solve assisted AI in self-driving cars. So we are more of this approach. And I think what is always a challenge is when you're thinking about something new is usually we are quite good in reacting to clients' feedback. But when you're doing something new, clients might not understand it or perceive it, what's the benefit of it. And so it's become tempting to just, again, sort of close down and make something. But if you are not getting this market feedback, it's really hard. So it's a hard balance there. I would still push for iterating and showing something as soon as possible.
Okay. As far as I know, you don't have clients in Lithuania, am I right?
I'm not sure. I think we do, maybe. Yeah.
But most of them are international companies, right?
Yes.
So, and this question is from Motiejus. What is your vision for global expansion, and what challenges do you foresee?
So we have already expanded quite a bit in various markets. So let's say both North America and Western Europe and Asia, it's quite good. What we see is that in some regions in Asia, most of our sales are Lithuanian based. So in some of these regions, we see that we might need some local touch. It's just hard to overcome the process, but we did quite good so far. We also see that, I would say, we started as a more enterprise-focused company. And now we see as this offering and sort of problems become more popular and sort of medium-sized companies are also starting to use it, we need to also adapt and make it more sort of automated and less sort of sales-driven. So self-services and sort of self-onboarding, etc. So I think that will be, we already are also on this path, but it will be quite important for us going forward.
But could you specify the main markets you're working in? Like you've already mentioned North America, then
Europe and Asia. So
okay, so it's kind
so
of
that doesn't
continental, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned also 4 offices. So where are they?
So we have 3 in Vilnius and 1 in Kaunas, and actually looking to expand in Kaunas some more as well.
Any plans to open somewhere elsewhere?
Not yet. Not at least.
But you do have some. But as far as I know, you do have some salespeople, right? Working in other countries, Germany, the United States. No.
No, I wouldn't say so. No. Not sure. Then again, I'm more with product, and things do change kind of rapidly. So I might be not aware.
So Justinas Grigaitis, as far as I remember, he's coming from New York, and he's asking, what's your ownership structure and how did you fund your startup from the beginning? Also, do you offer employee stock options?
Okay, so first, which when I joined the company found really amazing is that we are privately owned and we didn't raise any capital. So the whole growth was organic and is organic to this point. Maybe it is something that we'll look into the future, but so far it doesn't seem to hinder our growth. So that's quite nice. On the other side, in terms of stock options, that's something that we are exploring to do, but not yet.
Okay. Oh, I see that we have a lot of questions actually, and it's really nice to see. So we will pick up a couple of more before we move to breakout sessions, because I think that some of the questions can be dealt with in breakout rooms. In terms of, who's asking, Tian again, asking in terms of implementing innovation in business, have you ever encountered the problem of employees' resistance to change? If you have, how do you deal with the problem? Good questions, actually.
Good question. I think in general, maybe not particularly to this, I'd say there can be resistance to change, but what we try to do is speak and discuss, as in most places. If the person who's resisting the change has arguments, then maybe it's a bad idea. But usually, like, that actually frees the other person, because if he can't seem to find any arguments, it's just sort of a negative sentiment, and he starts to understand that it's up to him, her to do something about it. About attitude more.
It sounds easier than it actually is in the reality, right?
It is, but I cannot. But I cannot see any other approach, because you can force it, right? But it sort of generates friction. But when you can actually like talk about it, and then there is no, it seems like a logical solution, and there are no other sort of ideas, then.
Okay, so there are more questions, but let's leave them for breakout rooms. And just one more. Would you maybe? Would you like to know a few interesting and maybe not so common data scraping use cases in terms of complexity? Is that a question from the product developers?
Okay, let me think of some more stranger things. Okay, so I saw there is another question, let's say, about cybersecurity, right? So I'll give you one example. So, for example, we all receive emails, right? And these emails can contain malicious links, and these malicious links can contain some malware inside. But the attackers these days are quite smart, and they can make triggers that this, let's say, malware would only activate in certain geographic region. So, for instance, we work with cybersecurity companies to provide them with various data center IPs in various locations to test it out with email links, so they would be sure that it's not based on that it's safe in all of these locations.
Okay, I hope it explains, because I didn't get it.
Well, imagine this: like someone sends you an email with a virus, right?
Yeah.
And but this virus only works if you are in Lithuania. And okay. You are buying some services for email protection, and the company is based in the US. So they open this link, but they don't see anything, because it's only triggered if you are in Lithuania. So then they need the help of services like ours to actually see the threat.
Okay, I see. So I see that we do have more questions, but they can be asked in those breakout rooms. So I want to let Juras go and invite everyone for breakout room sessions.